she wants him to like intuit her emotions, and he wants her to just tell him what she needs. And
Yeah.
they can't get there. They can't get there. And it's maddening.
The lack of talking in that drama did
Yeah.
drive me out of my mind.
Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody. It's Leah Riley here.
Hello, it's Megan.
Hi there. It's Amy.
Just to know, we did get feedback that people like us introducing ourselves. Like,
we did?
we got feedback.
Oh.
That's specific. Someone on Patreon said it, but they're like, "Thank you so much for your names." So,
Okay.
I was like, I can't believe it took us 4 years to figure it out. But there you go. Okay, so I have something to tell you guys. I haven't told you because I was like, oh, I'll wait to tell you on air because I'm very excited. So my mom sent me a text. Her and my dad are like members of our local like theater, like not members, they're like VIP like ticket holders or whatever. I don't know.
Just say
they get, whatever it is. So they hear about like local productions coming to our local theater. And our theater is kind of like my local theater, like we often get off-Broadway productions that come through, but they only come for one night because we're kind of like a small town that sometimes they'll pass between, say, like Philly and Baltimore or something like that. So we usually get like pretty good Broadway shows, but it's just one night. So my mom's like, hey, can you check the website and let me know if there's any shows you want to go to because they get discounts on tickets. I look on the website, and I do love musicals, but I look on the website and I see Hadestown.
Yes.
I screamed out loud. I like literally screamed. Immediately called my mom. Like I was just going to text back and be like, yeah, whatever. Like maybe I'll go see Kinky Boots. But no, Hadestown. I screamed. So excited. Called my mom and I was like, you buy me tickets right now. I was like, I don't care if you and dad don't want to go, but you are buying me tickets and I'm making Neil go. And I tried to prep her a little bit because I was like, Mom, this isn't like last time we went, we saw Chicago, which is like funny and flat, it's Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, warning, like Hadestown is, I said, look, I think prepare for it to be like Les Mis, like vibe-wise.
It's poetic. It's poetic and it's tragic.
Yeah, I prepped her for that, and so she's like, oh, I don't know if your dad and I will go. Maybe I'm going to talk to him about it. But I was like, she was like, I'll make sure I get you guys the discounted tickets. So I am so pumped, guys.
When are you going?
It's not until December.
Okay.
But I was like, I cannot wait to tell Anne and Leah. Like I was so excited.
I'm so excited.
I actually had been like contemplating going to New York just to see Hadestown, but obviously those tickets would be way more expensive than seeing like an off-Broadway production at my local theater. So I'm very pumped. I thought you guys would be happy for me and I can't wait.
I am so jealous of anybody who sees Hadestown for the first time.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't. And actually I don't know much about it other than like, you guys had talked a little bit about how there's like a revolving stage, which does make sense because you have to have like the underworld and stuff. But other than that, I don't and the myths it's based on, I know that, but I don't really want to know anything else about it. I just want to go in and enjoy. And yeah, I'm pretty freaking pumped about it.
I hope you love it. It's my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. And they don't even have that many Broadway shows coming. It wasn't a long list. It was like Kinky Boots. What else? Which I was like, I'll go see Kinky Boots, Mom, like for sure. But
I feel like
Hadestown.
I take it for granted that I live right outside of like one of the country's biggest cities, and I can see shows like this anytime I want. Like, yeah. I feel like I guess I take it for granted that I think like everybody in every place gets these traveling shows, but maybe you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to travel farther. I mean, I can go to Philly and see that kind of stuff, but this is it's literally 10 minutes down the road.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is my local theater that I love, and almost any seat's a good seat because it's a small theater. It's a beautiful old small theater. So the fact that we sometimes do get these shows is really special, and I am super, like, Chicago was an amazing show, but again, it's only one night. because that's all we get. They're like, I guess we're passing through, so we'll put on a show for one night.
We're on our way to Philly. You get one night.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way it is. So anyway, I will let you guys know, not till December, but I am very pumped. And I just told Neil, I was like, you're going. I'm not, you don't, it doesn't even matter what it's about. You're just going to sit next to me. Go with me.
When you're sobbing at the end and he's just sitting there.
Yeah, he probably will just be like, I don't understand. Why are you crying? Because he never understands, which maybe this kind of leads into what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
Because he never understands, like, he doesn't get why I want to cry or why it feels good to cry sometimes. And because I also think like he grew up in like toxic masculinity and like crying is always like a bad thing. And you always cry because either you're sad or you're hurt. And there's like other ways to cry.
Right. Does he get the crying? Does he get the crying for something fictional? Or does he think that's weird?
No. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. He's also, that's not going to hit him like that. Yeah. He's not going to cry really for something fiction. He's just too like left brained, I guess, to like.
Yeah. He's not going to cry. Nick didn't cry and Nick's a crier.
Oh, yeah. So,
That's
I mean,
what's interesting about EQ is what makes a person cry versus like, because Nick can drop a ton of tears on something and then something else, nothing.
Can I tell you really quick what got my son choked up this weekend? Because I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but you just brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to see The Weeknd at Soldier Field. And the weekend, the opener for the weekend was Playboy Cardi, and Connor likes Playboy Cardi too, so he was really excited for that. So we're there, Playboy Cardi comes out, he's doing his thing, and then he starts a new song, and Connor's like, oh my God, this is a Travis Scott song, and he loves Travis Scott too. So this is so cool, it's a Travis Scott song. Flash to like the big screen, there's Travis Scott. Like he just pops up on stage. Like just
he like came there.
He was just randomly there.
Wow.
And Connor was losing his mind. He's like, oh my God, this is the best night of my life. Oh my God. He looks at me, he's like, I'm getting choked up.
Connor. Oh.
So that really got him emotional. It was so cute because it was it wasn't his first concert, but it was the first concert that was his choice. That I took him to something that he really wanted to see. And he got emotional. It's the first time I've seen my giant baby boy get emotional about anything in maybe like 5 years.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's really, really sweet.
So it was cute. Very cute. And afterwards, he's like, this is the best night. It's going to be hard to top.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really cool.
And I'm like, should I chuck your tickets for Tyler the Creator in 3 weeks then? He's like, no.
Aw. So, yeah, I mean, I cry really easily, so
I do too. I do too at fictional things. We're going to talk about.
Yeah. So this topic was we weren't sure we were going to talk about tonight. And Leah's like, I have an idea. And both of us were like, when she told us the idea.
Please explain.
Both Amy and I were like, we have no idea where you're going with this, but we will follow.
I appreciate the vote of trust because I like didn't have the bandwidth to articulate it. I was like, because I went away because I was like, okay, well, first we need to do the mea culpa, which is, and I mean, like, look, you can repeat shows. I just thought it was funny that we're like, and we're doing cliffhangers. And then a listener was like, well, actually, you did that like 20 months ago or something.
Yeah, and what's really funny is I don't remember seeing it on the calendar because I've gone through the calendar multiple times, like looking for ideas, and I don't remember seeing it.
I literally have no idea what cliffhanger I talked about in that first
I don't even have the vaguest memory of the conversation occurring.
Nope. No memory. Zero.
But then I was like, okay, with that as a context, we're doing it. We wanted to do another generalist, conversation where we can like pull more specific things. We do really like doing deep dives. And we also are aware that like sometimes it's just hard if you haven't seen the drama to like, be as invested for that week. So we do try to do a lot of these generalist conversations, as you've seen, where we can kind of draw from a wide range of dramas. Mm-hmm. So I went away and this one just like popped in my mind castle and I brought it back to the team and they were like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I was like, I can see it. I can't articulate it. Trust me. So trust me as well, listener, that we will get to a good place.
It is, because she's like, I'll do the script, and Amy and I are both like, Godspeed. Like, just do your thing.
And then as soon as I opened the script, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got it.
But I was also like, this script is damn good. Like, I actually felt very inspired with like,
look at you guys all glazing me tonight.
I know we are, but I was like, this is really cool. So thank you.
And also I'm going to laugh because I was at a college office today. I was talking to a student and he like said something nice, or no, I said something nice to them. I was like, when I interviewed you last year, you were the best interview I've ever had. And I've interviewed hundreds of students at this point. And then he was all like kind of flustered. I'm like, look at me glazing you. He's like, glaze? He's like, look at you using the language. And then I was just like, I just leaned in. I'm like, well, I guess if you're just aura farming, you just got to own it. He was like, what are you doing? And then like at the end, he's like, we had checked in because it was kind of like a heavier topic. And like my coworker was like, how are you feeling about the conversation today? He's like, oh, I think it went how I expected it, except I was not expecting to have Leah start talking about aura farming. And I was like, you know what? We live how we live. And all right. Well, give me a segue. Let's tap us in. How are we going to do this?
I thought we did because we were
talking about Ryan. Sure. Yeah, okay. That's as far as we got.
Okay. Well, and away we go. So, okay, let me scroll back up to the top here. So today we're going to be discussing emotional intelligence, or EQ, and K-dramas. But first, let's get into what like EQ is, and then some of the parameters I thought to put in for today's chat. So emotional intelligence has an interesting kind of academic origin story. So look, just because you coined the term doesn't mean that this idea has never existed before. It's just like, but framing and naming things, does matter. So in 1990, two psychology professors, I could butcher their names, I don't know, Peter Salovey at Yale and John Mayer at University of New Hampshire, they coined the term allegedly during a house painting project where they were, they were having a general conversation, and they recognized that there seemed to be a distinct type of intelligence that was focused on understanding and managing emotions. So while they laid the theoretical foundation, the concept didn't really reach mainstream awareness until the mid-90s, because what happens in academia, we're not all sitting there reading like research papers and stuff like that. But a journalist, Daniel Goleman, who'd been covering psychology research for the New York Times, published a book, and it was called Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. And so Goleman took the academic research and made it way more accessible to general audiences. And the premise was really that emotional skills might be more crucial for life success than traditional cognitive abilities. So again, like I said, the ideas aren't really new. They're building on earlier work, as does everything. And so some of the work that it built up on was, and I don't know all these people, I just had to do some research, Edward Thorndike's research on social intelligence in the 1920s, and then Howard Gardner, who I'm more familiar with, their theory of multiple intelligences, which both had also touched on interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. So since the book by Daniel Goleman came out and took off, that idea of emotional intelligence really kind of entered the mainstream. So it's now more integrated into kind of like curricula or corporate training or leadership development. And so it's become much less of like an academic theory and more of just kind of like a practical framework and something that's kind of like in the lexicon. Like a lot of us will just like talk about EQ or emotional intelligence just kind of when we're having general conversations.
I find it, I just looking at all this now, I just find it very interesting that it's all men.
Yes, and there could be, and these are just examples that I pulled. So this
right, no, but I'm saying like that these are like the big names in the late 80s, early 90s of it kind of thing. It's
great.
It's interesting to me that men are thinking of this, that men were thinking of this.
What's interesting to me is I didn't even think about it until you said it, and I always think about why men are being centered. So
I usually do too, but I didn't pick it up.
Because because part of me wonders, because you're saying like it didn't get into the lexicon and blah, 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 and I'm like, is it because a man didn't put it out there? You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
Like, were women talking about it earlier? I'm curious. I don't know. I want to research now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and there could have been like a whole thing where somebody's like, look, you missed like the entire wing of like the women's like pioneering research, and fair critique to me on that as well. This was a cursory, like kind of
And this
exploration.
wasn't a critique on you. It was just
No, but I am critiquing myself.
just a notice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence break down into a simple progression. First, self-awareness means recognizing what you're actually feeling in the moment, not just I'm upset, but understanding whether you're frustrated, disappointed, or overwhelmed. Next is self-management, which is controlling those emotions instead of letting them control you. Pausing before you snap, staying calm under pressure, or choosing your response rather than just reacting.
Third, social awareness involves reading other people's emotions and understanding the unspoken dynamics in any room, picking up on when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes or sensing tension before it explodes. Finally, relationship management puts it all together by using your emotional intelligence to communicate effectively, resolve conflicts constructively, and build stronger connections with others. Think of it as a ladder. You need to understand yourself before you can manage yourself, and you need both before you can successfully navigate relationships with others.
I don't think I've ever heard the term EQ.
Oh, really?
I have.
I really don't think I have. And I'm sort of feeling like I'm missing out big time because like this is like what I think I'm good at. Like this is
So this
like,
is my soapbox I have in my household a lot because like when I'm looking at my children and like their strengths and and I notice that like there's such a focus on now having high school students, this like college track and how we're setting student like what we're identifying as like the pinnacles to get you somewhere. And I find it really interesting being on the flip side of being in residential life in a college setting, because I'm not on the academic side. So when your cherubs get to me after they've gotten like their like 4 point and like made it into like their university school, I'm not dealing with them from how well they're doing in their classes. I'm dealing with them how they're doing in their emotions as they integrate into this life. And I'm going to say it's real bad. Like it's not, I mean, not real bad, but like there's much room to grow, and we're not doing an amazing job of like valuing emotional intelligence. And so I now notice like when I'm thinking of like my kids and looking at their strengths, the one who's less maybe like traditionally academic inclined, I'm also like, look, I feel like I could put you in a lot of social situations and feel very comfortable that you could handle yourself because I think you have very good EQ. And so your IQ may not be like mapping out as much with some of the learning disabilities, but I think like your street smarts and like social awareness is very high. And so I do feel like I like am talking about these things a lot because I'm like glazing up my kid who like is kind of sometimes being told they're less than, when I'm like, no, like when they're saying like, could this have a better predicative like success for the future? I mean, I think everything is like, relative, but yeah, I think you see, because we all must know somebody who is incredibly like their IQ must be off the charts, but are they successful in like a society framework even though they're like genius level? Probably not, because like their relational abilities have made it so that that's a big challenge for them. And then vice versa, you might see somebody who like maybe isn't like gonna be somebody who's like knocked it out academia wise, but they're going to be very successful because they're just a very good like people person.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was actually having this conversation with my husband last night, and I said something like, in this family, like I'm the one who's responsible for like the emotional well-being of like kind of the kids. Like that's my job. Like not that he doesn't do any of it, but I take like the point on that. I'm the one who's gut checking how the kids are doing, if their schedules are too much, things like that. And now I feel like now I can be like, it's my EQ. Like I'm going to be like, I'm bringing in big words now when I have a discussion with Neil about this. I'm going to be like, it's my emotional intelligence that is like keeping us afloat, like mentally. Okay. Cause like, and Neil and I talk too, like my woo is high as one of my strengths. And I always talk about how like, when I go in for parent teacher conferences, guys, I put on the charm like you would not believe. Like, I'm like an exaggerated version of Megan. Like I walk out of those parent teacher conferences being like, those teachers fucking love me. And now they're going to love my kid. And you know what? It's true. because the teachers then are like, I loved your mom, Dane. Like they say that to him. And then they like tease him more and they get to, and I'm just like, see, look at what I did for you. I said to Dane, I was like, I could be a total asshole. I was like, you should be way more appreciative of how good my woo is. That's what I say to him. But anyway, I kind of have relied on like the strengths like test, the whatever it's called that I've taken before. Now I feel like I have like a better framework. Actually, I'm buying books on this now. How have I not heard of this?
You've heard of emotional intelligence, right?
I don't think I have.
She's saying she's never heard this.
I don't think
I thought you were just saying you didn't know that it was like, because like EQ, like I was just doing a quick Google to see like why we call it EQ versus EI, and I guess EQ's become like the popular culture like lexicon, emotional quotient, like intelligence quotient for IQ, but like EI is the same thing, emotional intelligence, EI, EQ.
No, I think I've always just fallen back on been like, oh, I'm an empathic person. Because I do. I think I have high empathy. Like I've fallen back on like those words and like woo and stuff. And now I'm like, oh, it's like there's like a framework now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like reading this and I was like, social awareness is like, I really pride myself on having social awareness. Like I'm not trying to glaze myself, but I am like, I can be dumb about a lot of things. But like this stuff is my wheelhouse, That's why I can't. Hazel is this one coach. She's a tough cookie. I can't charm her. I can't. I told Neil, I have met my match. I cannot charm this woman. I can charm everyone, guys. Can't do it. She is immune to me. She is a tough freaking cookie.
That's funny.
And I told Neil, it's like, it's frustrating me. Anyway, okay, let's keep going.
So I thought we could just start by just doing a little bit of this or thatting, because I like a this or that. And I was like, this could be kind of like a heavier topic. Not heavy, but I just want to bring some entertainment to our listeners. So I've got some this or that's to just kind of like set us off on our conversation today. And if you're listening at home, call yours out as well. Okay. So this or that. The emotionally explosive character who wears their heart on their sleeve, or the emotionally repressed character who bottles everything up?
I mean, if we're talking about entertainment purposes, I go for emotionally repressed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I'm watching a K-drama, I want the emotionally repressed character.
Because they're gonna explode. And it's going to be awesome.
Right. But I want them paired up with the one who's like super emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say that like, yes. Yeah, and I like that when you say it's the pairing. But so yes, I want to be like rooting for that emotionally repressed character to like unbottle. And I think of that like with When the Camellia Blooms, where we've got somebody so repressed and then somebody so kind of like wearing their heart in their sleeve. And you're just wanting to see that single mom character like open up and let loose when you've got that, the love. Yeah.
So those two are great foils.
Yes. Okay. How about this or that? Ugly crying at a devastating breakup scene, or quiet tears during a moment of emotional breakthrough? What do you prefer?
Ugly crying at devastating breakup.
I knew Amy was going to say that one. That's up her alley. I'm the second one. I love just like a single tear falling from me, like me, while I'm like watching like an emotional breakthrough. I like when I'm laying on my side on the couch and just have like a little leak of tears out the corner of my eye. It's just even that little tear is just so good. It's so
I need
good.
my catharsis, because if that little tear starts, I'm like, I want it all.
Yeah, then you're like, more pain.
So I also am the quiet tear moment of emotional breakthrough for myself as well. I feel like a lot of my it's rare that I'm like hork crying watching. I have a lot of like where I'll just be like, oh, and then like my eyes like burn and like everything's kind of like welled up. And then I'll get like, like a one or two little like trickle outs.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I feel like a good why for this, for our answers, is and we'll talk more about it later, but I think you two are much better at emoting in real life than I am.
I'm a big time emoter.
Which is why I want it heavy when I'm watching something. I want that heavy catharsis.
I emote all over everyone all the time.
You got your emotions on me the first time I met you. You were
what,
using emotion.
my leaking eyes and my sinus infection. Yeah.
The first time Megan ever met Amy, she was leaking from every hole, basically.
Oh, it was disgusting.
It was so gross.
Bad cold.
I was patient zero.
And all right. Okay, this one I thought was hard, but this or that. Watching characters learn to be vulnerable with each other or watching them learn to set healthy boundaries.
Oh,
that's a tough one.
This is tough, but my gut reaction is watching characters learn to be vulnerable.
This is hard. I actually am going to say watching them learn to set healthy boundaries. There's something about a character who like finally stands up for themselves and kind of like a marry my husband thing where like she had kind of been like walked all over. And then when she finally like comes back to life, I guess, she's just like, no, I'm setting boundaries now. I'm setting boundaries everywhere. Everyone's going to know I'm a different person. I really love that.
I think I'm going to go for this one with learning to be vulnerable. I think that's my catnip.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I thought that was yours.
Okay, here's one. Binge watching to process all the emotions at once or spacing out episodes to emotionally digest each one.
I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice, right?
This is don't overthink it.
I know. Binging. If I can, I do.
This is the thing. When I start episode 1 of a drama where I know all the episodes are out, that is heroin to me. Like that is a straight drug to my veins where I'm like, I can binge the fuck out of this.
But also if it's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was gonna say it's always going to be my choice to binge. Always.
I was gonna say if it's an emotional drama, I weirdly want to binge it. Like Way Back Love, I needed to feel it all at once. Like I couldn't space that out.
I feel like lately I've been able to binge a little bit less just because I'm really, really, really busy at work. But I will always want to be unhealthily binge watching I never want to be like, ooh, I had some big feelings. I'm going to let that sink in for the night.
No. I want it to just devastate me. I want it to ruin my life.
Yes, ruin my life.
That's what I want.
Yep.
Okay. Do you like, this one ties into one we did recently. Happy endings that feel emotionally earned or bittersweet endings that feel emotionally honest?
Lately, I'm going to say bittersweet endings that feel emotionally honest because lately I've watched a few and they've really been getting me. Like, and they're the ones that I've been like thinking about. And it's not that I don't want an HEA. Like I'll never knock an HEA, but lately K-dramas have just really been delivering for me with these kind of like more bittersweet endings.
Yeah. I mean, like I loved the devastation of Way Back Love. I loved the devastation of Mr. Plankton.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I knew what I was getting into with those. I mean, I think those dramas set you up to know what you're getting into. So I guess I want that bittersweet, like emotionally honest ending, but I don't want to be sucker punched by it.
That's fair. It's when I can see the writing on the wall that I'm like, this is inevitable, and I'm kind of okay with that because it feels like that's what's supposed to happen.
Even if it's going to wreck me. Even if it's going to wreck me.
So I am going to, I think, surprisingly go to the other direction on this one because I really thought at face value I was going to go bittersweet endings, but I was like, you know what? Honestly, when I think I like a bittersweet drama where then the happy ending is emotionally earned.
Okay.
Because I think like Mr. Plankton for me, like that was I was like, fuck this. Like, I don't want this.
Right.
I don't want that all the time.
Yeah. Right, and I mean, like, look, and I'm saying this with Mr. Sunshine being my top drama. So, I mean, like, take this with a grain of salt. Right. But for example, I would say like, if I ever had to like pick a drama that I think really encapsulates like my taste overall, except for, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about Dear Hong Rong at some point about like how it's putting in all the trope butter that I've ever wanted in my entire life. Yep. But I'm gonna say like overall to like I would say like, you know, we must all have like a drama that we're like, this encapsulates kind of like our aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And look, my true aesthetic is like Incest Light, but my like higher truth is I would say Our Blues. And so I feel like Our Blues really does encapsulate like what I would like say is like
a damn near perfect drama for me in terms of like how it's written, how it's characterized. And at the end, I would say that for the most part, I'm going to say that, like, yes, there's a bittersweet element to it. It doesn't tie everything up with a neat bow, but I would say that it felt to me more than not a happy ending that was emotionally earned. But boy, did you earn it. And I think that's my favorite, is when like you really are on like oh my God, like I do kind of feel like I'm getting destroyed. Like Taekwondo, like I think that's why Taekwondo, Let Free the Curse of Taekwondo went into my top 3 recently, was I was like, I felt like I was being fucking destroyed. But then at the end, there was an HEA that was emotionally earned. Whereas I feel like if they gave me a bittersweet ending that like,
Right.
felt
Understand.
honest, I'd be like, fuck this. And I'm throwing my TV out the window.
Yeah, I think I would have for that drama. You're right. You're right. I don't know. Maybe I like both. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you can like both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're just doing the this or that to make
Yeah,
it.
but
That's
even sitting here like while you're talking, I'm thinking, I'm like, all of my dramas that like end up being top dramas, not all of them, but many of them are bittersweet. Like Crash Landing on You, bittersweet ending. Goblin, bittersweet ending. The King Eternal Monarch, bittersweet ending. Like there's an HEA-ness to them, but it's not your regular old happily ever after.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Last one. Recognizing yourself in flawed characters or identifying with the emotionally mature ones.
Recognizing myself in flawed characters, because I love watching a flawed character grow. And I think that there's always room for growth at any stage in your life. And I find myself to be very flawed at a lot of times in my life. Even if I do think that I do have, some level of EQ. I like seeing emotionally flawed characters when they have growth. That's who I identify with.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same. I'm always loving the flawed characters and like sympathizing with them or being like, same, man, same.
I feel like I'm boring a little bit, but I'm going to say identifying with the emotionally immature ones, because I feel like I like having like a little bit of a therapeutic lens to be like, oh, look at the good choice that they made and whatever. I mean, look,
Good for you.
I love Damage. I love Damage. But I do feel like if I had to pick when I'm thinking about putting myself into the mix, I like coming at it from like, yeah, maybe a little bit more where it's like, I'm having a cookie and so are you, because we are doing emotionally healthy choices today.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get into a couple questions and then we'll do our K-pop rec of the week. So we've got 3 questions before that. So, look, I really think there's something vulnerable about watching K-dramas. And I'm even like across the board, even down to like Squid Game. And I think that they often make us feel deeply in a way that other media doesn't. And I think for me, at least, that was part of the attraction. Maybe I believe it was for you both as well. So what do you think that says about how these stories access our emotional lives?
Yeah, I think that's what brought us here in the first place, right? Like at first I thought it was like the whole sort of like genre merging, right, of K-dramas, because you can have so much. Like Crash Landing on You was our first one, and I was like, there's romance, there's, thriller, esqueness, to it. There's tragedy. There's so much going on. I think that's the way these stories access all of that, is that they don't just stick in one lane. And I think by being able, if it's written well, if a K-drama is written well and it crosses over into all these different genres, I think it's also crossing over into all these different emotional lanes, which is why I think it hits different than Western media does, at least for me.
Yeah, I think sometimes K-dramas just have a way that I don't often see in like you said, is this like more of a mishmash of genres. I feel like Western shows sometimes, I don't know if that's accurate to say, but I just think K-dramas mix different tropes and stories together in a unique way that is more relatable to me than a lot of what I see elsewhere.
Yeah, I was thinking about like they've got this like ability to kind of strip away emotional armor. And in some ways, I think it's also because they operate on like a different rhythm than what we may be used to and sometimes watching like some types of Western content. Like, I think that, and it depends on the drama, of course, but I do think that there's
there's a real ability sometimes to like sit in silence or like let the character's face tell the story. Again, trust me, they love some exposition and some people sitting there like, doing their monologuing.
Talking out loud, yeah.
Yeah, but there are moments where you really can build a lot of tension through these like very small gestures. And I think that because of that, it like creates like a lot of intimacy through kind of like specificity. And so there's like lots of tiny recognizable human moments. And so you start to tune into like how their voice changes if they're like trying not to cry or like, when they're like avoiding eye contact or their body language when they're falling in love. And so I feel like, just seeing like all these little moments put together and like the fact it can sometimes like really take its time and just kind of like sit with it, I think yeah, make it feel like, you're really just like getting invested on a different level and then starting to like become more empathetic as well and having like those connective moments.
One thing I noticed the other day when I was watching a K-drama is like the pace is so much slower. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but sometimes when I watch Western shows, I just feel like it's very hurried. And I think it's like to keep audience interest. But I feel like K-dramas really give space for characters to kind of like sit with their emotions or give characters like space to have long discussions. Like I just don't often see in Western shows like, and also in Western shows they're like walking around while they're like it's just different. It's a different style. And there is something
Our Beloved Summer. Like Our Beloved Summer, they're not walking around.
Like, yeah, they're like sitting facing each other having discussions. And I get that some people like that's a different like that was a style I had to get used to when I first started watching K-dramas because I was like they're just sitting yeah. They've been talking for 10 minutes. Like what? And they're just sitting there. I can't believe I'm watching this. But then now I'm like I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up like crazy. Whereas I really think you put like two American actors and they would be like cooking or they have to be like doing stuff like while they're interacting.
There's a movie series I know you like, Amy. I haven't seen it, but you might be able to speak to it as like and not to contradict it to say like you're wrong, but to like say like, it does happen. I think it's just not that common.
Right.
Is the movies, what are the movies you love with Ethan Hawke on the train, like Before Sunrise?
Oh, Before Sunrise, yeah.
Isn't that just sitting and talking?
It is. It's two people spending, I think, just a day together. It's been a long time since I've watched any of those. It's, yeah, like I think it's this idea of, falling in love with somebody over a very short period of time and just, yeah, there's no like action. They're just being together, hanging out.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. I think with stuff like that, whether it's, because I think there are some Western things, like I think that's why we all connected on like Ted Lasso, right?
Yes.
Like it still follows the Western prescription of we're giving you like 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Like the episodes aren't that long, but there's a lot of, mishmashing of tropes and genre, in Ted Lasso, right? You've got comedy, but you've got very poignant emotional moments as well between men too, which is really fantastic. But I think whether it's a K-drama or, something nuanced that we find like that in Western media, it is the writers giving credit to the viewer, I think, to have a little bit more higher of an EQ, to be able to sit with something like that does move at a slower pace.
I agree.
And makes you sort of wait for that emotional payoff.
Yeah.
So many people often say that we watch K-dramas for escapism, but they can actually make us feel more, not less. So what do you think we're really seeking when we're choosing to emotionally invest in these stories?
We've talked about this a little bit in the fact, like, not that I don't like BLs, but I don't watch nearly, what you two do. And I think part of that is the reason why I'm coming to K-dramas. And I'm not necessarily coming to escape, but I'm coming to have a vicarious experience, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I read a lot of romance. I love writing romance, obviously. And I like watching romance. And it's not that I feel that like, I'm single, and it's not like I feel like that is something that is lacking in my outside life because I'm very happy and I'm very content in my life the way that it is. But I do like to experience that falling in love. I do like to experience those, those firsts of falling in love. And what I do is I insert myself into the story, right? And so I'm going to need a female protagonist to do that for me, with a male protagonist that, that I enjoy watching. Not that I watch solely romance, because I don't, but like for the most part, that's what I gravitate towards. And so for me, yeah, I'm not looking to escape. I'm looking to experience.
I like that.
I would say I'm looking to have intense emotions, but with the safety net of it being fiction. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I want the high stakes. I want the romance. I want to feel all those emotions without like personal risk. So it's not really escapism. It's just like it's like Amy said, it's like, I want to have the experience.
Yeah, I think for me, I think about like, it's kind of like the K-drama becomes this like container, right? Like a safe container.
Yeah.
And when you're in that container, it's okay to feel like it's expected and celebrated to feel. And like within like talking to you all or the community we have, like if you were just like, I feel nothing the whole time, people wouldn't be like, that's cool. They're like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not fitting in. Like, so like there's kind of like a culture around like when you're engaging with the dramas that you're going to be in your feelings and then engage out in those feelings. And I feel like, when we look at the world at large, it's often telling us to like sometimes feel less, like get over things quickly, like move on and like, buckle up. Whereas like these shows actually are saying like, no, your feelings matter. Your reactions deserve attention. And then a step further, I think, is then we've built a community to then like be in those feelings and give them attention, like together. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about emotional intelligence in, in K-dramas. But first, do you think your own emotional intelligence has influenced what types of K-dramas resonate with you? Or have K-dramas influenced your own emotional development? Or maybe both?
I think it's really influenced me. Like, I really think it has heightened my social awareness. I think more about other people. I mean, I was always kind of like, I had a lot of empathy, but I feel like I strive to understand other people's situations more than I did before. And I think that's partly because of K-dramas.
Yeah, I think because, like you're talking about the safe container, Leah, I feel like because I feel this safety of emoting in K-dramas, that it also then increases my EQ because I allow myself to experience more in this like safe fictional space, but I think that bleeds over into real life. So I do think they definitely influence my emotional development.
I think for me, like, again, I definitely do think that they influence me. And I think there's like, I'm more of a both, but like, I'm going to speak to my own emotional intelligence kind of like interests influencing what resonates with me is I think that like, I tend to gravitate, and again, I sound like I'm just like talking my ass up, like, look at me, be special. So again, I'm not trying to minimize myself, nor am I trying to overglaze myself, but I'm just saying that I feel like I'm drawn to K-dramas that have more like psychological complexity and emotional authenticity. Like I want to be in that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can get me into those places, especially that authenticity where like it feels real, I feel like where I get distance in dramas is like when it gets like, and that's sometimes I use the fallback of saying slapstick. It's not necessarily slapstick because you can have slapstick in like any circumstance, but it's more just like sometimes it feels a little bit too knowingly artificial that I feel a little bit more distance from it. And then I'm not chasing kind of the high that I really want to be chasing, which is that more like authentic experience. And that's when I feel like I'm really getting like my money's worth out of my time in watching a drama.
Right. I agree.
All right. Well, let's take a pause and do our K-pop Rec of the Week.
So this episode, I don't think is going to air until July, but it is the first Wednesday of June, which is Pride Month. And the song that I'm going to recommend is absolutely for the girls, gays, and theys. Okay. So it's called Eye Candy, and it's by From 20, FROM 20. You got to watch the music video. Okay. I will link the music video. You'll know exactly what I mean when you watch the video. He's for everyone. Okay. It's a soloist. with backup dancers. He's not wearing a shirt for 75% of the music video. And one thing I really like about him, I want to mention this to give him some props, is that there was a part of the promo images he did for this song, he was wearing a do-rag. So he got some criticism for that. So he then didn't just like say like, oh, I'm sorry, which is what they often do. He actually has a whole YouTube video where he brought in 3 people of color and sat down and he was like, hi, I'd like to talk about cultural appropriation. And they had a whole discussion about it. And it was really, really cool. And they talked about the difference between wearing a do-rag and what that means for, say, like Black Americans, as opposed to why, like, how it's different from a foreigner wearing a hanbok. So it was a really fascinating discussion. Props to him for doing it. Props to the guests he had on, because I watched the whole thing and like I learned something from it. So we'll link the video too, so you guys can watch it. But I just thought, I wish all K-pop idols would watch this video. Like, get diversity training, for the love of God. And yeah, props to him for doing it. So I want to shout him out for being hot and for also wanting to learn, because that's hot too. So again, it is Eye Candy and it's by From 20.
Thank you for that. So first up, self-awareness. Can you think of a K-drama moment where a character's emotional journey suddenly made you realize something about your own feelings?
So I have talked before, like Leah and I did a podcast on Extraordinary You. I love this drama. And one of the things that I really love about this drama is the lead in the drama, the female lead in the drama, Undano. She's a character in a comic, right? Everybody is a character in a comic. And she realizes that she's a character in a comic and thinks that she is the heroine of this comic and is so excited, and then finds out that she is an extra, like she is a background player, and that she has basically like no free will. She can only do what the writer, of this comic lets her do. And she decides pretty early on, fuck that. Like, this author may say that I'm a secondary character, but I'm the main character in my own story, and I'm going to take charge of my life. I'm going to take charge of my destiny and live as the main character of my own story. And I love that idea, because I think a lot of times, and I've had many experiences in my life where I let myself get complacent, because being complacent is easier than taking charge of what I really want. And I think I need to be reminded of that every now and then, that I am the main character of my story, and it's up to me to take charge of my destiny if I want things to change.
So I said Mr. Plankton. I actually feel really strongly about this one. Like, I'm still thinking about Mr. Plankton over 6 months later. A drama really impacted me. So in Mr. Plankton, this is not a spoiler, he is diagnosed in episode 1 with like 1 million brain aneurysms or brain tumors or whatever they are, blood clots. I don't know. He's got 1 million of them in his brain. He's going to die in like 3 months. And he's like an average dude. I mean, I don't know how you make Udo on average, but he is. He's just like an average guy. Okay. He's not like super successful. Like, he hasn't, stood out necessarily, but he's made a small impact on select people that are close to him. And the whole drama is kind of about that. It's about how we, as just ordinary people, can make big impacts on the people that are close to us. And that matters. That creates ripples long after we pass away. It impacts future generations, just like these little things that and little impacts that we make to our loved ones. And I think about that all the time. And it made me feel like more special, because I'm like, no, the little things that I do for my kids, my loved ones, my parents, that matters. That's going to matter when I'm dead.
Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable in that.
Yes.
And I think for me, I was thinking about Reply 1988 and the parents. And like because I was also trying to think about like how we were saying like something special with K-drama, or like these very quiet, or like not quiet, but just like there's so many little moments, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, and I was going back and like watching some clips of Reply 1988 with this one. And there's just this moment that I like caught my attention, that like, again, like, because I was thinking about being a parent. And so in 1988, I think that something that's unique, we're older, we're parents. And then like you're watching like the kids' journeys as well, but then like they really do show like the adults. And there's this moment where like Dukson's father, it's like
they're coming home late from work, and he like takes a moment outside of their like little apartment, and he just like he collects himself and like puts on his like father face before like coming into like his like real world where it's like there's kids, there's bills, there's life, there's like his
Ugh,
wife.
I remember
And so he
that.
just takes like time to like, kind of like he's had a hard day, lots been going on, and then he has to walk through the door and like no one kind of gives a shit. Like he's got to be like he's like dad and husband. And I feel like for much of what I do in my life, it's like no
Mm-hmm.
one truly is giving a shit what I'm doing in my day. And like, I mean, I give a shit, but like I come home and I'm like, I'm mom, I'm wife. And like, again, and that's why I have fought so hard as well to like have my own identity beyond that, because sometimes when I would take that face off, I felt like I only, like, I never felt like I need to be my own face too, as well as these other faces. But just like that moment of like grouping before coming in, I get that because there's a lot of times where like I am exhausted or I'm short-tempered or I'm thinking of something else or I've got a million things happening and I have to like try to be like, you know what? And I'm not great. I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm going to show up and like, pick up my kid and they're going to get in the car and I have to be like, I have like my very simple question that I try to go to, which is like, what's your high, low, and silly for the day? And I like ask that, like, just like stop what I'm doing, put that face on, and like do the next thing. And like they want to share. No one's ever like, Mom, tell me yours. But like I try to like go in, it's yours, and like get that moment of connection. And so when I saw that, it just felt like a very relatable thing.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I forgot about that scene.
All right. So now, how about self-management? Let's talk about when characters like either completely lose it emotionally or they stay very composed. So throw out an example and like something that you find relatable about it and why. I don't know if I find it relatable as much as I find it permissible because like I mentioned earlier, I'm a hold it in kind of person and I rarely cry in front of people like in my real life. And I don't know why that is. That's something that I honestly don't know where that comes from, but I think that's why I love a character who completely loses it emotionally so that I can go on that journey with them and give myself permission to lose it too. So I am very often looking for like the high emotions in K-dramas for catharsis. And this goes all the way back to the OG for me, which is Goblin. And the scene that like exploded right into my brain was when Untak is on the rooftop after Kim Shin forces her to remove the sword so that he can beat Captain Purpletongue. And then, if you know Goblin, if the sword is removed, then he finally disappears, right? And as he's fading away, she absolutely loses it. And I lose it with her. And that scene like lives rent free in my mind. I can see it happening. And I don't get emotional thinking about it, but I know that if I go back and watch that scene, like if I need a good catharsis, that I can do it there. Or, the scene in the tea shop at the end.
It's funny. I saw your response because sometimes in the scripts we do kind of like put a little shorthand of what we're going to talk about. And so I think we kind of twisted Leah's answer a little bit, or Leah's question a little bit, but because I'm like the opposite of you for this answer.
Yeah.
Because I lose it emotionally all the time. Meaning like if I'm angry, everyone's going to know I'm angry. If I'm sad, everyone's going to know I'm sad. If I'm happy and in a good mood, everyone's going to know it. Like, so I'm not saying I lose it emotionally, but I'm very expressive. Like, I actually do not know how to repress my emotions. Maybe that's a social intelligence that I don't have, but I don't know how to do that. So the characters who are repressed, Leah had said compose, but like I'm gonna go like set like the characters who repress their emotions are the ones who get me every time because I can't do that, and I actually don't want to do that. Like I don't want to repress my emotions, so I think it like my heart just goes out to them because I want them to just be free. Does that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think about Let Free, the Curse of Taekwondo, because what I like to is not necessarily like the external plot of I'm going to break up with you because if you stay with me, some bad guy's going to kill you. Like, I don't as much love that. I like where I like the very like internal, I'm pushing you away because I'm like a damaged human being. Okay. And I don't want you to see my damage. I don't want you to get anywhere near me. And I'm doing this for your own good. And that's very much like Let Free, the Curse of Taekwondo. He's very cold to the guy he loves because he's like, I cannot let you see this mask that I've spent 12 years creating. You're the only one who knows the real me, and I don't want you coming back into my life and ripping off my mask and like exposing my soft belly to everyone. Like, I can't do it. And that is 100% like always going to like get me. Like, that's the kind of thing I like. It happens in Weak Hero Class too in a different way. I'm going to say Weak Hero Class because it's not a romance. But there's a point where Shion is injured because he has gone to kind of fight for Suho, like Suho's birthday, and someone wants to fight him. I know, it's like high school boys. And Shion's like, no way, I'm not going to let his birthday be ruined. I'm going to go in his place. And then Shion like gets really beaten up and his arm's broken. And Suho like knows something's up, and he goes to Shion's place, and Shion answers the door, and Suho's like, yo, where have you been? What's going on? And Shion's like trying to hide the cast on his arm because he has a broken arm. But Suho sees it. And you see, and this is Choi Hyunuk as Suho. And you see the moment he sees the mask and he knows, or I'm sorry, he sees the cast and he knows that something happened. And all the puzzle pieces are starting to click. He's not the brightest in the bulb in the pack, but he's putting the puzzle pieces together. And you can see the moment where he gets this sort of like false smile on his face because he's pissed. He's pissed that Shion is hurt because of him, but he also doesn't want to embarrass Shion. He doesn't. So he kind of just like puts on this mask and he's like, okay, man, it's good to see you. All right, take care of yourself. Eat well. All right, bye. And he leaves. And the smile drops off and he's like ready for murder. He's going to get revenge for who did this to Shion. And it's like that scene, it sticks in my brain because it's like that it's like that I have to hold back my emotions. I can't let you see how I really feel. It gets me every time.
I was thinking about it. So like how I chose to answer it was more like, yeah, like who felt relatable to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with Twei Eung from Our Beloved Summer because I was thinking about like a little bit like, do I lose it emotionally versus do I stay composed? And I mean, look, like everyone, we're all kind of a mix. And I would say that I really feel like I really am a mix though. So where Eung's character, I feel like kind of is relatable to me is that like they're really good at being like an emotional deflector, which I think I have a very strong talent in as well. And so like when he's hurt, and this is from Our Beloved Summer, by the way. So when he's hurt, he like kind of like retreats into silence, or he'll just like start making self-deprecating jokes. And like when his girlfriend would be like critical or demanding, he just kind of like took it. And he just kind of like took it and took it and took it until he finally kind of didn't anymore. So it wasn't that his composure was strength. It was like self-protection. And then eventually like he finally explodes. And I think that is kind of like, I tend to do like more of an exploder thing. And so it's like, I'll take it. And then I like eat your face. And I would say that in some situations now, like it's even to the point where that's a very short leash. Like I take it very short before I want to eat your face. That could be perimenopause. But I would just say that like for a long time, I took, and then didn't. And now I'm kind of in my like, I don't take it era. And I would say that for sure, that's a very big shift that's happened to me. And I think that like, yeah, the holding in for me is much more of like, I'd say it was like hold it in, but much more of like deflecting. And so his character kind of like came to mind of that of like, I saw that and was like, I know what that feels like to deflect.
I haven't thought about Our Beloved Summer in a long time. You're bringing it back.
It's such a good one. I've been thinking about it a lot because I want to drink jujube tea when I go to South Korea.
Yes.
Our Beloved Summer a lot because I love jujube tea. Okay. So how about, if we're looking at like another pillar, which was social awareness or reading the room, like how has a K-drama used visual storytelling to show unspoken emotions that another character might be missing?
This was such a good question because because this is what K-dramas do so well. I truly believe that.
So we all know that I love Eunho from Love Scout. And one of the big things that really stood out for me, and I think we've talked about love languages before too, like my love language is acts of service, whether I'm receiving love or giving love, like it's all acts of service. And so this really got me. So Eunho does a lot of things. for Jiyeon in Love Scout, but the one that he does that is basically like it's done in silence and there's no recognition is he fixes her door, her office door. She always is trying to walk through her door the wrong way. Like it swings toward her and she wants to push through it. And it's supposed to do both, I think. It's supposed to swing both ways, or maybe she just wants it to swing the other way. So anyway, she always like slams into the door because it doesn't open the way that she wants it to. And so he fixes her door and she never says a word and she never even notices it. She just starts doing what she always does, which she tries to push through it, and it just works one day. And he does this, he meets her needs. Like he sees people's needs and he meets them without any need for recognition. Like he does other things too, like organizing her office and bringing her plants back to life, which she of course notices because that's stuff that's very visual that she can see as well. But the fact that the door is never noticed or mentioned, I think speaks volumes towards his emotional intelligence because he does not need a pat on the back. He just wants to make things easier for her.
It's true. He doesn't need a thank you. I said the first thing that came to mind, which I'll always think about, is in Mad for Each Other, when Weo and Min Kyung are neighbors. Min Kyung is pretty much a recluse. She had been assaulted by her ex-boyfriend and still experienced a lot of PTSD about it. She kind of was always thinking people were stalking her, and Weo noticed. And the part that I remember the most is that he took a pair of his shoes and he put them in the doorway of her apartment so that if any delivery man or anyone, because she always got all her stuff delivered because she didn't really want to leave her house or her apartment. And so anyone who opened the door would see a pair of man's shoes there. And it was just to make her have that security of that anyone who came to the door didn't think she lived there alone. And he never said anything about it. It was just this like silent gesture of putting his shoes there in an effort to make her feel more safe.
So good.
That's good.
It's one of my favorite gestures. Like that's like of all things, I don't know why. I don't need a grand gesture of like flowers. Just like make me feel safe. Give me shoes that in the doorway, you know?
I was just going to answer one really quickly, and that is from Coffee Prince. And I think that, like, because this is one of my most favorite things of all, like, moments, is they're at the beach. They've had, like, a fun day together, and Eun-chan falls asleep, and Han Kyul's awake and is, like, having this, like, moment of crisis. So Eun-chan's peacefully asleep, not knowing that, like, Han Kyul's like, I think I'm falling in love with a man. Like, I'm realizing love is love. Love is beyond gender. And you hear like the sound of the waves, and Han Kyul's just like wide awake. Eun-chan's passed out. And there's this moment where he like almost reaches out. And I just feel like it's like super intimate and vulnerable. And like no one else, like he's alone. Like no one else is seeing his internal struggle. Nobody else is witnessing this moment where he's confronting feelings that terrify him, except for us. Like we're right there. Like, what's happening? Like, you know, all the millions of people watching. But for his world, it's just him in that moment. And, you know, you could just see like how truly kind of like overcome he is and how much he's freaking out. But like not in a bad way where he's going to panic and run away, but he's like freaking out and starting to like process and like integrate to be like, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great scene.
It is.
So last part of the pillars is relationship management. Which K-drama couples actually communicate well through conflict? And like, where's one that makes you want to like throw things at the TV?
So I don't know if there's like a ton of conflict between these characters, except for that one's kind of hiding their true identity. And that's Ryan Gold and Duck Me in Her Private Life, because I love that when she finally like, you know, she's hiding that she's basically like a huge fangirl, like a huge idol fangirl. And when she finally like comes clean about it to him, he does not judge her at all. And it is like the best, just sort of like zero toxicity relationship. And I even like went so far as to say also like Duck Me and her relationship with Eun-gi, because Eun-gi is like silently in love with her for much of the drama. And when they finally like sit down and have like the conversation where he tells her how he feels, he's very mature about it. And she's very mature about like that she loves him as a brother, but she doesn't love him that way. And there's nothing toxic about it. And it's just, I think, just overall, that drama is just such a great portrayal of like healthy people
Yeah,
talking about their emotions.
I agree.
Whereas in contrast, I love because this is my first life, and this is one of the side
Oh
couples,
God. Yes.
Ho Rong and Wan Suk, and they are hugely entertaining. Like they're very funny and they're very dramatic and over the top. My God, I wanted to throw them both off of the roof of their rooftop apartment because if they would just talk, things would have been so much better between them. She wants him to like intuit her emotions, and he wants her to just tell him what she needs. And
Yeah.
they can't get there. They can't get there. And it's maddening.
The lack of talking in that drama did
Yeah.
drive me out of my mind.
So, okay, one that makes me want to that made me want to like kind of like throw my TV out the window, but I was like oddly invested in it was The Heirs. We have like Kim Tan and Unsong's character, like they're basically just like constantly simping for each other rather than like actually discussing like the class and family values that are
Yeah.
like tearing them apart. And so I kept being like, what the, like, why do I even like, why am I like invested in watching this when there's like very little, it's just the vibes of it, but whatever. But the one that I love it so much is Hospital Playlist and Ikjun and Songhwa. And like yes they have some like yes they have some things that they didn't touch on as much because there was like complexity. But really that was like a friends to lovers for the ages.
So good. So good.
So I'm gonna say the characters that didn't communicate well are Hira and Kyoe and My Beautiful Man. Their lack of communication. I know. I don't. I'm sorry, Leah. I know it's like and I love that. I love this drama. First season 1, season 2, and the movie. I watched it all. I love it. But Hira and Kyoe are the worst. So Hira basically like worships Kyoe, and every time Hira like screws up, like every time Kyoe gets mad at him, Hira's like, "Oh, I need to like do more for him." And the whole point is that Kyoe's like, "Stop treating me like I'm above you. Like I want a like a lover, I want a partner who's like with me, who's
Yeah.
level,
Who's not idolizing me.
who's not idolizing me." But Kyoe can't like say that. So Hira just keeps idolizing him more and more and more, and it's like a disaster. It's but they're so lovely. Once they actually talk about it, it's amazing. But and I like that dynamic where I actually really love the dynamic of one character in a relationship being like, "Stop idolizing me. Like, why are you doing that?" And then I actually found that the characters in My Dearest Nemesis communicated really well.
Agreed.
So you had, Choi Hyun-wook as Bon Joo-yeon and Moon Ga-young as Baek Soo-jong. And this is a Nuna romance, and I think that that's part of it because Soo-jong is very highly emotionally intelligent.
Yes.
Like, she's on another level of emotional intelligence, truly. And he is not, but like he has the capacity to be emotionally intelligent. He's just been like repressed his whole life. So that's part of her is like teaching him how to be emotionally intelligent. Like truly, that's like part of what she does for him. And she forces him to like talk about things because she's so smart and she can read people really well. And I really appreciate that. I would also say on a third level, Go Back couple is like the perfect marriage of they didn't communicate
And then
at all. And then them learning over the course of the drama how to communicate. That's basically like the story of that.
Yeah.
It sort of like encompasses just, this pillar all in one.
So if you could give one piece of emotional intelligence, let's close it out with this.
Okay.
If you could give one piece of emotional intelligence advice to your favorite emotionally clueless K-drama character, what would it be?
So speaking of the heirs, Choi Young-do pushing her into the pool in the middle of winter won't get you the girl.
Mine is Lee Gong-do from Rain or Shine, which is basically like, you do deserve the girl. You deserve happiness and you deserve the girl. And you deserve to live your life and have a happily ever after.
And mine is Gudong Mei from Mr. Sunshine, which is more hugs, less murder.
Love that one.
You can't work out your feelings of unworthiness through just murdering everyone.
Put down the sword.
Open your arms and put down the sword.
Yeah, open those arms, put down the sword.
God, I love Nagme. He's so great.
This was so good, Leah.
Yeah, you did a great job, Leah. This was really fun to talk about. As soon as I saw what you had written, I was like, oh, this is going to be a blast. I could do this exact same podcast. Maybe we should do this exact same podcast a year later, just with different characters.
And pretend like we never did it.
Yeah, but I mean, and honestly, I could do a whole nother round of this with new characters. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing about sometimes when we have repetitive topics, it's like, well, now we have a stronger library to draw. Like every year, obviously, we're watching more K-dramas. So I feel like I have more things to talk about. Yeah, thanks, Leah. Good job.
You're welcome. And I think I like doing reflective topics. So thank you for indulging me.
Yeah, and we have some deep dives coming up, so stay tuned.
Okay. Let's just close it out with what we're watching.
Oh, sure. This is going to be out. It's going to be a while before this episode's out, but we can still talk about what we're watching.
I just need to just let me be self-indulgent then for 5 seconds.
As long as you don't spoil anything for me, because you're ahead of me now.
Well, no,
I didn't realize I was. No, I will not spoil.
You can talk about this because once we cover it, it's going to be out after this episode.
Yeah, all I want to say is I'm watching Dear Hongrong, and I feel as if it is a drama that literally was just like conceived in a lab for me.
I mean, I thought that when I read the description, I was like, Leah, there's so much incest. There's so much incest light in here. It's dark.
It's not just that, though.
No, I know it's not. But like the initial blurb, I was like, well, it's a Seguk. There's incest light, but there's a lot more to it. I texted Megan after I finished the first episode, and I'm like, that was exhausting because of how tense it is.
It's tense the entire time.
Yes.
You will be clenching your butt. I was just clenched everything the entire time.
Yeah.
But oh God, it's good. This is what I feel. So the Patreon had been talking about Dear Hongrong, and a bunch of them said this is for Leah. And I didn't read those comments because I didn't want to read anything about it until after I watched it. But in episode 8 or 9, I was like, this is for Leah. This drama is custom made for Leah. Like someone went into Leah's brain and picked at it and put little gray matter on a script, and that's this. So yeah, I can't wait until you're done. I don't care when it is, Leah, you have to text me.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil anything for Megan or Amy, and I'm closing out episode 5. I'm trying to think about, like, I guess what I want to say is Alchemy of Souls I like, and I like it a lot. I don't know why I don't like it as much as everybody else, because I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like, I really did enjoy it. I binged the fuck out of watching it, but I like never think about it now.
Oh, okay.
Even though I really liked it, like watching it, I enjoyed it.
Right.
But like EJ Hook and this, I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Like, this is it for me. Like, this is it for me with.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. So I still think about Jong-uk from Alchemy of Souls all the time.
Same.
But Hongrong? No. I just like 100 times like better than Jong-uk. And that is I finished, so I'm sticking to it. Like that's how much I love him. So I just can't wait to talk about it. And we will be covering it. We'll be doing a deep dive. Amy's going to tough out the violence.
I am. It's fine.
And
it's worth it.
I will say a lot of the violent scenes happen when it's dark. Like, meaning I feel like they like darken it.
Yeah. I gotcha.
To try to take away the sting.
Yeah.
I never felt like there was much that was visceral. There's a few things that are very visceral, but that's my opinion. Someone's going to be listening to this and be like, Megan, you're wrong. Maybe. Okay, well, anyway, that's it for today, right?
Yeah,
and
that's it.
The last time we're recording before I go away.
Right. So by the time this airs, Leah will be back, but this is the last time we're going to see each other for a while, and we're going to miss. Yeah, we're going to miss Leah.
20 days in South Korea.
So I have a selfie stick and a microphone that arrived today, care of the podcast, and I am going to do my best to, you know what? I'm just going to see how we go. Like, I'm going to do my best with what I've just tried to say, have low expectations, but you know what? It could be good.
Could be like just a little test thing for when the three of us go.
And you can have me there just talking about some bullshit, and who knows, Idong could just be standing behind me eating a sandwich. Maybe. And I won't even know, and you'll have to point it out. And later
he'll be eating
a Subway sandwich to save his life. Yeah.
Gongyu. They'll just be back there chilling.
A life-saving $5 footlong.
And they're going to say something like, did you get extra peppers? Yeah, I added extra. And this is good. Very fresh.
I want to live now. I didn't before.
Yeah. This footlong saved my life. Okay. Anyway, we're going to miss you, but you're going to have
so
fun.
Excited.
And we'll talk about her trip, obviously, when she gets back. So stay tuned.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Annyeong.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!